Powerology. We're studying superpowers. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Powerology, the show where I talk about superpowers and classify them and stuff like that. Why do I call it Powerology? Well, ology means the study of, and, well, we're talking a lot about superpowers, so power, pretty self-explanatory. Today I'm going to be talking about the main types of supers. My way of classifying them, or one of my ways. This is going to particular version of that I'm doing is classifying them by kind of their power source, but it's going to be a generalization, a more main thing, because there's going to be subcategories and little tweaks and little details. Now, just notice some of our superheroes in Marvel, both Marvel, DC, Pixar, Disney, a few PBS kids shows, a few Nickelodeon shows, and different movies like Megamind and stuff. Well, a few of these heroes, and this is heroes and villains and other people with superpowers. Some of them are going to fit into more than one of these categories. There's going to be some overlapping, and that is absolutely fine. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. It would just take too much. It'd be hard to make a categories to avoid the overlapping. Well, I could, but this video would be much longer if I did that. And you don't really need me doing that for you to really understand. So just know we'll have some overlap, some supers that fit in multiple multiple categories. Now, what do I mean by super? Well, in case you didn't already know, as I'm pretty sure most of you know, but in case you don't, supers are those with superpowers. Or it's just my word for those with superpowers. Kind of like they do in The Incredibles, though for some reason they seem to be talking mainly about just the heroes, which kind of annoying because villains some villains have powers too, or some people who had powers were villains in past too, so. And, there probably are people who aren't superheroes or supervillains or just heroes or just villains that necessarily have powers. But anyways, that's my definition. That's what I mean when I refer to supers in these videos. Okay. Now let's cut to the chase. Our first main type of superhero is our alien. Well, I mean super, not superhero. Though some are superheroes. Made that mistake. It might take me a bit before I stop making that kind of error. Forgive me if I make that error again. But anyways, supers. We got our aliens, like Superman, Metro Man, trying to think of some other, Word Girl, wow, why am I struggling with this? No, there's more alien superheroes. There's superheroes. You got I think Starfire. And for some reason I'm drawing blank on villain and neutral alien supers, but nope, there probably are there too. But anyways, basically you're a super from another planet. And often that could mean now there are two group you could be a super on one planet but not on your native planet because something is perfectly normal on your planet but not on whatever planet you're currently on. And even if you're from Earth, you could classify as an alien if you're so happenly visiting another planet. If you're on another planet at the time, any planet that's not your home planet or would be home planet, birth planet, native planet, whatever, now, then you're an alien. And not all aliens are going to classify as supers, but there are supers that are aliens, and yeah, some of them are only considered supers while they're on a planet that's not their own, while they're an alien to the planet, if you may. Okay, that brings us to our next category. And that is our birth supers. Now, I was originally going to call them naturals, but then I decided not really, because there's some people where they're born with them with powers where it's not necessarily 100% natural. It's complicated, confusing. Something happened to the parent that the mother that gave you a genetic mutation or something. Don't necessarily consider that natural, though. Then again, if you got the genetic mutation, it had nothing to do with anything weird happening to the mother. I guess that would technically be natural. I'm referring to in the womb. You know what? Doesn't matter. Anyways, our birth supers are basically calling them birth supers just seems like a more logical fit. Anyways, it's anyone born with powers or whatever gives them their powers. And I don't mean like a prophecy saying, oh, this person's going to have power someday or whatever. No. Usually it means flat out, you have something in your DNA or whatever that says you're going to develop powers. You could be born with them, or you're just born going to be someone who's going to develop them as they grow up. And you could have alien birth supers. Or what? Or aliens that aren't. Alien supers that aren't, or just giving you an example of crossovers. Maybe I should talk about the crosses after that. But anyways, we got birth supers like well, the best example of some birth supers I can think of are some of the X-Men. And really, you got Jean Grey. She was born with her born a super. She developed. She had something in her genetic code. Oh, natural genetic code. Or that made her a super. She was born with it. She was born a super. She developed those powers on her own. There was no genetic experiment. There was no environmental thing. Nuh-uh, none of that. She was born with her powers. Is born, well, not born with the powers, but born with the born with the stuff to, if that would make her, lead her to develop them. Hopefully that makes sense to most of you. And, you know, Scott Summers as well. Let's see, we also got another example. Oh, Nightcrawler. Forgot his real name. I don't know if Wolverine was born with some of his stuff or not. There is a little stuff talking about him going through labs, and he could have had a few things before he went in labs. He might have not. I don't know, so I can't speak for Wolverine. Anyways, I guess that's enough examples, right? Oh, Magneto. Pretty sure he was born that way. Born to develop his magnetic powers. And Professor X, just to name a few examples. Okay. Next, we got our mutants, which I know a lot of you were thinking X-Men, and that's cool, but as much as I like watching a few X-Men stuff, I always was annoyed that they use mutant as the word to describe them. Because a lot of them, there was no genetic mutation. It was, they inherited their parents or carried the trait, and they inherited it. They called it an X gene or whatever. So, and to me, when I think mutant, I think mutation, genetic mutation. And in science, a mutant is just any living thing that had a genetic mutation. Whether it's while they're developing or afterwards. So when I say mutant, I'm not saying some people in the X-Men wouldn't classify actual mutants. And according to my definition. But anyways, when I talk about mutants, I'm talking about those who had a genetic mutation. Not every living mutant is a super, just like not is necessarily super, just like not every alien is necessarily a super. Because some genetic mutations do absolutely nothing, and some could cause you a health problem, disadvantage, not necessarily something that's gonna give you superpowers or something, or some unique ability that allows you to do something cool or whatever. But you got your mutant supers, which are just any super that got his or her powers through a genetic mutation. You might have been born, you might have gotten it while your mom was pregnant with you. Or you might have underwent an experiment. Or you might have had some accident or something something weird about your environment. Whatever. Anyways, yeah, if that's how you got your powers, then you're a mutant super. And you can have mutant aliens. And I do have, there are birth mutants, because some people, they have genetic mutations when their moms are pregnant with them. It happens, people. So yeah. Now we also got our artificials, which this kind of seems crazy that I'm talking about that because I just talked about mutants back, and I'm going to be completely honest. Yes, all mutants are going to be classified on this list as also artificial. All artificials are going to be classified as mutants. So why am I doing artificial? Because I don't think all the mutants are necessarily artificial. What do I mean when I say artificial? Well, nothing was necessarily natural about how you got your powers. You went through a genetic experimentation, or something in your environment affected it. Now, if you had a genetic mutation when your mom was pregnant with you, I'm not going to consider that artificial. Because those kind of things, those kind of things kind of just happen in nature all the time. Not necessarily superpowers per se, but genetic mutations when moms are pregnant, they happen. And it's not really mankind doing it, or the environment, or the environment people, or things people do to the environment causing it per se. So yeah. So, but yes, all our artificials are technically mutants, because they all kind of pretty much have to go through a genetic mutation in order to really to work. And I'm not talking about people who temporarily drink something or get shot, but gets them temporary powers, and what's that? Actually alters the DNA. I'm talking about their DNA got altered. So we got our people like Spider-Man. And I'm trying to think of others. Why am I drawing such a blank? I think Scorpion was one. Why am I only thinking of Superman characters? Anyways, Spider-Man's my best example of this. Oh, Clayface. Clayface from Batman. Yeah. Clayface from Batman went through some genetic... would technically be artificial. I think the backstory said he went to some scientist to have it done. Correct me if I'm wrong. Might have been he stole some stuff or something. But anyways, Clayface. Oh, and Sandman. Sandman as well. So, yeah, those are a few examples of our artificial supers. And yes, our artificial supers are mutants. So we could say artificial mutant supers if we wanted to. And once again, there can be plenty of crossover between this. An alien could receive their powers this way. And now let's see, what's our next? Now, that would appear to cover all our categories of anyone who actually has superpowers. But then we got 2 or 3 technicalities. Now, this is a little more of a controversial, but we got our cyborgs. Basically, anyone with robotic parts, and their unique abilities are through their robotic parts. But still a person, still a full organic being. So, Forge would be Forge from X-Men, Cyborg from the Teen Titans, Dr. Octopus, I'd count, even though he doesn't exactly have his robotic limbs as replacement stuff, but they're more solely extensions, but still. He's got robotic parts, and that gives him his some abilities you wouldn't normally have had you been born as a normal human being. And then let's see. Finally, not finally, but our next category. Oh, and I forgot to say, I technically would consider the characters from Lab Rats, the Bionics. I consider them as cyborgs too. And though they technically don't really have too many robotic parts, it's bionic chips, but anything bionic is just a word for biorobotic. And yeah, they got it from a technical robotic parts. Their powers for a technical robotic part, therefore they are cyborgs. According to this. And now, next we got our robots. Now, not just any robot is going to qualify as a super. It gotta be really, really special. You can't. And this is a type of robot we definitely have not achieved yet in real life, if we ever will. But basically, I'm talking about ones that are actually somebody. Not just a machine, but they're somebody. I wish I could explain it better. They have debates and all talk about in movies and shows all the time, but it's hard to explain it. They're kind of alive in a way, but though with absolute no organic parts, body parts or anything. It's weird, but you all know what I'm talking about, and you're all familiar with this. And if their abilities are more than what a human being would typically have, then yeah, they're a super. And then there's one more category I want to mention. We got, and I know what you're thinking, I just mentioned lab rats, and I called lab rat cyborg, the lab rat super cyborgs, and you're right. But I'm not talking about the show when I put lab rats. These are people that are just, are supers that are just flat out created in a lab. But I'm doing ones that are created in a lab that aren't necessarily robots and cyborgs. Though I guess some cyborgs might qualify this. But anyways, basically it's our supers that over a whole existence to a lab experiment. Which is kind of crazy to say, but someone steals some DNA, someone starts playing around. Boom, you get somebody. Yeah. So those are the people I'm calling our lab rat supers. Even though technically lab rat probably could have referred to anyone going through genetic experiments. For the purpose of this list, I'm using the word lab rat to refer to those who were created in a lab. And I don't mean just created in the sense that, oh, mom gave birth in the lab or whatever. No. So, review. We got alien supers, birth supers, mutant supers, artificial supers, cyborgs, robots, lab rats. And almost every super you can think of will fit in at least one of these categories, though many, many will fit into more than one. I mean, you could have power. Some of your superpowers could be absolutely natural. You could have been born to developing them, born a super. But then you go through some genetic whatever, and then boom, you got some artificial powers. You could be an alien, but your powers, you got your powers through a genetic mutation, or you were born with your powers, or your powers weren't there when you are only powers when you're on another planet. Just how it is. When you got, and maybe I was a cyborg born with powers, or maybe maybe I'm a lab rat, but I later go through. But I was also technically born with. Maybe I'm a lab rat, but I'm also get a few robotic parts. I don't know. Anyways, there are some crossovers. There are plenty of supers that are going to fit in more than one category, but almost every super, if not all, will fit into at least one of these categories. At least. So yeah, that's my classification of supers based on the main source of their powers, or how they got their powers. Alien. You're from another planet. You're alien super. You're a super from another planet. Birth super, you were born a super. Mutant super, you are a mutant. You had a genetic mutation that gives you your powers. Artificial super, you're technically a mutant. You are a mutant super, but you actually went through a genetic mutation, or something in your environment changed the DNA. It was not something that happened when your mom, just something that happened when your mom was pregnant with you. Cyborg, you have robotic body parts. Robot, you're a robot super. You are a robot that has abilities, but most humans do not. But you're even though you're technically a machine, you're not truly a machine. You're deep down a person or somebody. I mean, lab rats. You're a lab rat. If you're a lab rat super, you owe your whole existence to something that happened in a lab. Okay, I hope you all like this. Have a nice day.